And so about a month ago, I was here at the Powell Grounds, and one of the items that was brought up is that the community said, we want to see the commissioners. Who are they? We want them out here. And so today they had their admin policy board meeting at the community center, and we've also talked about having them have a office day in each of the districts, so you have the opportunity to interact with them. So I would like to invite all the commissioners up, if you would, so everybody can see who you are, and we can do some introductions. And then also, I asked them to give a short report of what they're working on. We're handing out the annual, semi-annual report. I don't know if you had a chance to look at that earlier. We sent it in the mail to everybody, but it gives you an update. At the State of the Band, we had an annual report, and we said we would do a semi-annual.
The one in the purple.
Throughout the year, and so that's the report that was there. So if all the commissioners will come up in the Solicitor General, and so we can start with some introductions.
Ujuga kinawia mi babita ni na dijige kene ko bino mi gwecho indam sama bi jaya ma de no de bezin do go ma Asian Miss Wayne to make my gain to come back my minister. My name is Bobito. I serve as the Commissioner of Administration, and administration's role is essentially to assist in regular government operations through human resources and information systems, the IT department, human resources, I mentioned that, grants department, among other things. And so we essentially, at administration, assist other departments and also other branches in their operations. And I just wanted to say big wage to everybody for coming out. And when I'll go through a couple of things that are highlights for administration. So two of the changes that happened pre-COVID and one post-COVID was that we are trying to do more analysis on how we're spending net revenue funds, and so we absorbed youth service programming under Ojibwe Madazing because the service that we're trying to provide through Migan ultimately meets the spirit of the grant, and so we're really excited about how we're able to strengthen the kind of the old way of doing business as far as interacting with children and providing them opportunities for learning and supporting them through school. But then also we're moving into, we're training those staff that work directly with the children in a new way so that we can support them in school and at home. And now during COVID, it's as important as ever to stay connected and to keep them engaged in their schooling, whether they're doing distance learning or hybrid or dealing with the stress of doing things differently. Another area that we did an absorption in is the wraparound services, and so those of you who may have been a participant in wraparound, the same services are going to be provided, but what we're doing is we're moving those services under administration, and we're trying to help individuals overcome barriers and move towards a place of employment and self-sufficiency and healthy choices at home. Also, under administration, we are, for those of you who haven't noticed, we did 3 books. We had fluent speakers from each area create books, language learners, and those books are published by the Minnesota Historical Society Press, and we're developing language learning resources so that we can help people that are participants in the program. But not only that, we are trying to help people understand or help people move into a place of a strengthened identity and self-esteem and understand and knowing themselves as Anishinaabe people. And that was at the guidance of elders and we're trying to close that gap. And also, one other way that we're doing that is the Rosetta Stone project. And so, because of the COVID restraints and travel restrictions, we're a month or two delayed in the release of that. But we're still kind of trucking along and moving along that. So we're going to see the release of Rosetta Stone be at the end of winter, probably at the end of July, beginning of February. So those are the quick updates that I have, and I will pass the microphone to Peter, Assistant Commissioner of Administration.
Good morning. I'm Pete McQuinavy, Assistant Commissioner of Administration. I also oversee community development, which has housing. So me and Vital work together with the administration part of the job, and then I also oversee the CMD, which is so that's like project management, public works, roads, those departments. And then we got the housing department. So I could give a brief update, but I'm sure there'll be personal questions on housing, and I'll stick around and answer any of those. Just an update. So right now we have 77 units up here, and I believe 13 of them are vacant. And we only have currently 7 people total on our list. So our lists are less than our housing available. Some of the issues we're seeing is the background checks and then the income eligibility. So if those are issues, we're willing to work on them in housing. We don't want to see our units sit open. So if there are some of those personal issues, let me know. Let's try to work through those. So we have housing up here. It's to provide housing. So we'll work through some of those issues. Again, if it's something just individual, come and see me, or I'll be here to answer questions too. So
Bonjour, I'm Joyce, Commissioner of Education, and I oversee the early education program in K-12 and then higher education, the Ashland School. And for early education, as most of you know, for you who have little children in the community, in your families and stuff, early ed just opened up a couple weeks ago. And we're in what's called phase 1 now. And again, you're going to hear a lot, due to COVID, that we need to, we worked pretty hard all through the summer to make sure that our facilities were safe and that our children remain healthy. And again, we did give early education the option to do distance learning. And so there were some parents that chose to do that, where they kept their children at home, and other families who sent their children to school. And I think both decisions were pretty good for you. It's the comfort actually of the parents and the families on how they want their children to access services to Head Start. And so I think we've done a really good, really good job. Early Ed has done a really good job of providing those options to use as families and as for your little children and stuff. And then for K-12, under BIE mandate, we are scheduled to begin classes for the Ashland School in Pine Grove September 17th. And that was a decision that was actually made by the Bureau of Indian Education. We had the option to follow it. We did follow it, only because we were still working on making our schools safe for our children and stuff. So we've been doing a lot of upgrades in the buildings for all 3 of the facilities. And we will start, and we are going, again, distance learning and hybrid. So hybrid we'll be in session Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesday we will have off only because we need to deep clean the buildings. And we also have students that can enroll in the Ashland School through distance learning. So if there's any families here, I know you have Minnesinaquan here, and you have McGregor here, McGregor Public School. You still have the opportunity and option to enroll distance learning for the Ashland School. So enrollment is still open. Today we have open house from 1 to 4 at the Ashland School, and then Monday at Pine Grove, which is a little ways from here, for K through 5. We have open house. And then for higher education, we did start our college classes. Of course, you all know, for those of you who are in higher ed, that we do partner with Fond du Lac Tribal and Community College. And we started those classes a couple weeks ago. And again, everything is online unless it's a critical career like nursing or law enforcement. Those classes are still optional for you to attend at Fond du Lac through just going into the college and taking your classes there. Again, for the students who are enrolled, I think there's 7 students here in East Lake that are enrolled. I am working with the administrator here to make sure that the building is open. We do have a classroom here. We aren't doing ITV this year. This semester we aren't doing ITV, which is only because of because of COVID. And so anyone that wants to, enrollment is closed right now, but the other thing for the 7 students that are here, if you have an issue with getting onto your classes, we do have, Fond du Lac does have some assistance to help you with, like, say, a laptop. You have to be a student, it'll be checked out. You have to be a student of Fond du Lac in order to access those services. So if there's any other questions, I can probably answer those at some point and stuff. So, and I'll pass this on to Miigwech.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Caleb Dog Eagle, and I'm the Solicitor General. So I oversee the Department of Justice for the Mille Lacs Band, and that entails band member legal aid, law enforcement, as well as the Office of Solicitor General. And I just wanted to give you a quick update on a few matters that we've been handling on behalf of the band. On the litigation front with the county and Line 3, the band continues to oppose the Line 3 project and is continuing to do so through through the court process. And as far as the county's lawsuit, or the county lawsuit, we are continuing that fight as well. And right now, that was delayed a little bit because of COVID, along with every other thing as well. So that is at the expert discovery phase coming up here pretty soon. And we just had some arguments on preliminary matters such as ripeness and mootness of the case. We did get some concerns from the community regarding the presence of law enforcement within the community, and I'm working with the chief of police to increase that. And if there are any other matters that is of concern to the community regarding the Department of Justice, I'm happy to take those concerns and visit with folks to try and address those concerns as best we can. With Chief Rice, law enforcement, and my office. So I do have cards with me if anybody would like a card with my contact information on it. And I will stick around after we're done talking and visit with anyone who would like to visit. So, Miigwech. Who wants some questions from me?
Sure, Brenda. Take it, let's go. Katie.
What about the law enforcement agreement with Aiken County? Because those of us that live in the community here would like to see the officers from the band tribal police out here. It's another question.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that's a concern that we've heard from folks in the community about increased law enforcement presence here. As far as a joint powers agreement with Aiken County, I know that's something we've talked about with Aiken County and Pine County as well, and then we all know where we are with Mille Lacs County. So I'm happy to get you a more recent update from the chief of police, but right now we don't have that in place, and we're working on improving those relations. And Aiken and Pine are a little easier to talk with and deal with than Mille Lacs County, and we look forward to continuing those discussions so that we can improve that law enforcement presence here.
Anin Bonjour, everybody. I'm Katie Draper. I'm the Commissioner of Natural Resources for the band. Some of the programs that I oversee in DNR is agriculture, cultural resources, enrollments, environmental, land management, which is a part of the Feed a Trust land buyback program, resource management, which includes our fisheries and our hatchery, as well as the wildland crew. Some updates for DNR. As we know, the Monoman harvest is underway right now, and folks are out in, I think, all of our communities harvesting Monoman. We held a meeting back in the beginning of August and shared some information about that. I'll loop back to that here in a minute. We just were informed this week that we were awarded a grant through GLFWC, Great Lakes Fish and Wildlife Commission, and they are sending over 2 parching machines as well as some other ways for us to finish rice ourselves. It is on a smaller scale, but we anticipate to receive that equipment here in the next week or 2. So more information will be shared on that. We're also in DNR exploring opportunities for us to harvest rice on our own in a much larger scale for our community members. It's not finalized. We're still just working preliminarily on that. Deer hunting season opened on Tuesday. We got some hunters out there.
Mhm.
And so we have some kind of new ways of doing stuff. They're actually really not new. It's just we're making them easier and more efficient for our community members to access hunting permits and registering your own deer. So you basically can register your own deer now, which is kind of cool. So you don't have to necessarily depend on a licensing agent or bring a leg or a deer into the local community center, or an ear, whatever you prefer. So that way we'll have that, make that a little easier for folks. We've been out harvesting some sage. Did you have a question, ma'am?
I do. Since you're giving like parching on the what about thrashing?
So yeah, we're receiving most of the equipment to finish rice, and all of the details I'm not aware of right now at this moment. We are getting a couple of machines to go to finish rice from the lake to a finished product. Like I mentioned, we were out harvesting some sage over the weekend, so if anyone's interested in some sage, let me know. I do have a little bit with me today. Caleb had touched on line 3. I know that's a concern to the community here, and I know the tribe continues to be at the forefront of fighting that and making sure that doesn't harm the community here. For those that have Facebook, I encourage you to like the DNR Facebook page if you see it. We really try to put a lot of our updates on there about things we're working on. We have some frequently asked questions that we've put together for Monoman harvesting regulations as well as for deer. So as time goes on, we'll continue to have meetings in our communities about our harvesting seasons, and hope to see you there. Miigwech.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nicole Anderson. I oversee the Health and Human Services Division. That division encompasses the clinic, our substance use programs, treatment centers, mental health services and public health, as well as under the human services side, emergency services, elder services, and family services. Today I brought with you all kind of a little update, a sheet of paper that has things that are specific to District 2 and some stuff that's coming up within Health and Human Services that will be relevant to everyone here. One of those announcements is that our flu shots have recently arrived, so you'll see availability of that soon. And then also the antibody testing for COVID-19. We'll be setting up clinics for that in each district as well soon. So just some things to be aware of. We will update the dates on those, so everyone will be made aware of that. And then the antibody testing is open to anyone who would like to be tested from the community. Along with that, you'll see some information on a new provider, Dr. Ann Riddle, who will be officing out of the clinic here. And then also some of our new information on our substance use specialist doctor who will be able to provide some of those services out here also. We want to ensure that
our services are consistent across the district. So that's something that we're working on right now too, and we're really excited about. Dental is back to being in the districts. We had a lot of work to do through the COVID, the initial pandemic, and trying to navigate the safety of community members as well as employees. And so dental is back out in District 2 on Thursdays, and you can call the numbers on the back of the paper I gave with any questions that you might have. I just wanted everyone to be aware that the dental office is back out here. I think Amanda Boyd is here today. She's the contact for food shelf and commodities and things like that, and the number for that is also on the back of the flyer. We really wanted to ensure that we've had food security and things like that during the pandemic, so that information is on there as well. Another interesting thing within HHS that is new or newer is that we're working on the initiative tribe status, and that is for our family services department, and it's a phased program that helps us develop the capacity to be able to really handle those cases within the Mille Lacs Band itself versus using the counties. And so the chief executive has asked that we start setting up outreach meetings in each district so that we can get input from community members on that, so that we can ensure that input is drafted into our model. And so those are the big updates for HHS. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be sticking around afterwards and we can connect too.
Bonjour, Jigay Gabo, Indigenous Cause, Jone Quinabi and Dagu, Mayin Gun and Dudame, Mizzazaga Iganing and Dunjaba, Nisawag and Danasug, Ajuana Kudukwe, Minawa Ogama Bikwe, Minawa Ogama Sekwe, Niwidige Oma Mizzazaga Iganing. I'm the Commissioner of Corporate Affairs for the band, so I deal with all things business related. And we operate in 5, as you guys probably know, we operate in 5 different lanes of business. So our number 1 producing lane is obviously gaming. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll give some updates there. Also our hospitality portfolio. So I'll talk about what's going on with our hotels and resorts. Then our 3rd lane is technology and marketing. So I'll talk about our marketing companies and our technology companies. Our 4th lane, our newest lane, I'll kind of share some stuff, and it's in the semi-annual report at the end of my couple of pages, is our government contracting lane. That's a brand new thing for us that I'll share some updates on. And then finally, our in-district investing and our in-district businesses, which are all of the development that we do inside all of the districts. So I'll try to go through all 5 of those pretty quickly and then answer some questions. On the gaming side, the number 1 focus that we have and kind of the mantra that we've been living with is that the safest team wins. So the safest team wins. So safety is our number 1 priority. So all of the protocols that we have had to put in place because of the COVID-19 pandemic, it's just been an ongoing thing. We're probably on to version 2.18 or something like that. Jackson probably knows the real number, but we're constantly updating it based on feedback we're getting from associates, from guests, from the CDC, and from other best practices across Indian country. But that's the number 1 priority, is to really execute on our COVID-19 protocols. So I was just visiting with a few of the folks that have had an opportunity to visit Grand Casino and also visit some of our evil competitors. And the feedback I got is that we're doing a much better job. And we also see that during our benchmarking of the other properties that we're competing with. And that's good to hear, because that really is the key. We do not want to close the facilities again, and so everything we're doing is trying to prevent some sort of breakout or spread inside our associate base, inside our guest base, and then inside the community. So that's the number 1 priority of the entire company right now, is safety. So it's not a surprise to me to hear that when you get up off a slot machine, there's somebody right behind you to sanitize that game. that's part of the protocol. We really want to keep a safe environment. Now, business levels are not back to where they were pre-pandemic, and we're probably operating at about 60% of the headcounts that we're typically used to. And the decline in those headcounts is coming from where you would think it would come from. It's coming from the 55 plus age demographic in our database. So when we look at that particular part of our demographic, they're down about 80%. So visits are down about 80% in that group. So they're just choosing to sit it out and not willing to take a risk on their health. And that's understandable. And that's something that we're going to see for probably for a really long time. There was a white paper released by Klaus Robinson, who is an outfit that works in Indian country. They're based out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. And their projections that they're putting out is that we'll be back to 2019 numbers by 2023 or 2024. So that just gives you an idea of how long we're going to be dealing with and trying to build the Grand Casino business back. So it's a little bit of bad news, but we're open and things are getting better. So that's the good news there, but it is tough. I don't want you guys to, it's the main source of everything that the band's able to do. And that's why I don't want to hold any punches telling you that things are really, really tough right now in the gaming space, both at our company in Minnesota and across Indian country. On the only thing probably hurting more than gaming is probably hospitality. So hotels are not doing well. The industry, leisure and hospitality across the nation is probably across the world is really hit hard by the pandemic. Now there's a bunch of things dealing with that factor. You know, when we look at the hospitality industry, the last two big atomic bombs to go off in our industry were 9/11. So when 9/11 happened, and then the last time we had a big correction in the industry was during the Great Depression. So when or the Great Recession back in 2009. And this pandemic has elements of both of those two downturns. So in 9/11, it was all about safety. So people were really scared to fly, people were scared to travel, and then we saw this huge decline in people traveling and huge decline in the hospitality industry. In the Great Recession, people didn't know how much money they were going to have in their bank because the financial markets crashed. So there was all this instability, and there was also low consumer confidence because we just didn't know what was going on. The pandemic has both of those elements. So people are afraid to travel, people are afraid to stay places, and then people also don't know is the CARES Act going to be moving forward? Am I going to continue to have money in my bank? They're expecting 50% of small businesses in America to fail. So is my business even going to be a viable thing? So those two things are really putting some downward pressure on the hospitality industry right now. And that affects our hotels. So we have big hotels with lots of convention space, and we need to start seeing business travel pick up. We need to start seeing confidence in safety and health measures pick up so that people are willing to have conventions or gatherings or weddings or get-togethers again. And as we see that stuff rise, we'll see the hotels start to rebound. But that, again, is one of those longer-term things that we're going to have to deal with because of the pandemic. In the marketing and technology space, so our big main company there, we had some good news coming into the pandemic. Our company, 2020 Brand Solutions, which is going to be rebranding itself to Foxtrot Marketing Group. They were named the number 9 largest minority-owned company in the Twin Cities. So we broke the top 10 list for the largest minority-owned companies in the Twin Cities. So we did over 19 million in revenue in order to make that list. So we had a lot of momentum coming into this year, and then the pandemic hit. And now, once again, when the pandemic hit and things start to grind to a halt, businesses start to kind of cut costs that they don't think they need. So we typically provide a lot of promotional products and branded merchandise and branded goods. So a lot of those things are nice to haves, but they're not must haves. So a lot of businesses have cut back on those. So we've seen our business start to dwindle there related to the pandemic. And most recently, we did have, there is opportunity there. So we're all wearing masks out here. Some of you have logoed masks. So we are getting some of that business. In fact, we just had our largest single order we've ever had. The state of Minnesota purchased $1 million worth of masks from our company to provide to the education system across Minnesota. So that's a pretty cool thing that we've been able to do. So if we see more of that stuff, and we're hoping to see more of that so that we can continue to build that business back, but that just gives you an idea of where that particular sector is. In the government contracting, so talk about timing. We got our 8A certification. So if you just Google 8A government contracting, you'll find some information on that, and it's basically a $25 billion industry, $25 billion set aside for minority-owned businesses, and tribes can qualify for these in a unique way. And it's something that we've been pondering and thinking about for a long time. And finally, we made the plunge. We started forming the company and a strategy and a plan last August. And then we applied for our certifications early in the fall last year. And then on March 4th, we were awarded our tribal Super 8A certification. So that allows us a huge leg up to do government contracting. And what we're interested in doing is we're doing security, we're doing construction, we're doing training, and there's a whole other host of industries that we're trying to get into there so that we can get a piece of that $25 billion industry. So so March 4th, bad timing because the world kind of shut down about 10 days later, but we've been successful so far. We've won 3 different contracts already in our short period of time as a company, totaling over $55 million worth of contracts all over the world. So we're pretty excited about that business, and that's a business that's not like any of our other companies. That 8A certification is an important thing that the tribe will have for the rest of our existence, and it gives us that leg up to do work with the federal government. So we're really excited about that. The big companies that do this well are Alaska Native corporations. So if you look at the ANCs or the Alaska Native corporations, some of those corporations are doing well over $1 billion worth of contracts every single year. And that's kind of what we imagine. If we can even just get a piece of what all of those Alaska Native corporations are getting, it'll be a significant impact to the band and a significant revenue stream for the tribe for a very long time. So we're really excited about that business. And then finally, and probably most relevant for this meeting, is our in-district investing. So we have a bunch of stuff going on there. Obviously, when revenues and things start to decline and safety concerns start to rise, we had to shut down some of our businesses. So thankfully, we've been able to reopen the store out here, and that's rolling. We just won some of the other stuff we're working in district is we're working on low-income housing tax credit programs. So the goal of those programs is to bring quality, affordable housing to our communities, kind of as workforce housing. So as we see people, I'll just give you an example. At Grand Casino Hinckley, the average drive time for an associate is 1 hour and 15 minutes to get to work. So from our standpoint, that's if you're driving 1 hour and 15 minutes twice a day, that's 2.5 hours that you can't spend in the community doing what you can, whether you're coaching basketball or volunteering for something going on in your community. So we're trying to improve the quality of life for people that work for the company so that they can live in their community. And we've had some success there. So you guys probably have heard of Lady Luck Estates. So that's the first one we won a few years ago, and that's built in Hinckley. 28 townhomes aimed at low-income housing or low-income earners. And we just won 120 points. Knock on wood that we still get this. If there's, but we got 120 points, and it looks like awards are going to go to 120 to 124 points for a project that we planned in Onamia called Red Willow Estates. That'll be 30 townhomes there, right across the Sioux Line Bridge over there by where Meat on Mille Lacs used to be. The band bought that land a few years ago, and now we're going to be able to repurpose that to something special and something important to improve the quality, the housing stock in the community. Those type of things are things we're trying to do in all districts, and our plan is to end the urban area. I forgot about that. We're also planning a housing project down in South Minneapolis as well that we'll be meeting on next week. Let's see what else. Holy crap! I feel like I've been talking too long here. I see Melanie's trying to give me the
Positions, those 10.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'll get to that real quick. The other thing, I guess, for this community, we've done a bunch of studies. So there, we had Maxfield Research came out and studied 3 different distinct areas here. So we studied East Lake, we studied McGregor, and then we studied just north of McGregor. And what we're looking for in that research, and it's complete, is what are the opportunities up here? What's going on with the directionally of visitors to the community, and then also homeowners in the community. And when we can get a handle on all of that stuff and what they're buying, where they're buying it, how can we come in and provide something that if you didn't have to drive to Aiken, or you didn't have to drive to Brainerd, or you didn't have to drive to Duluth to get something, what are those opportunities that we could build here and own? So that's a lot of the research that we've done. I think where we're at right now with that is that we really need community feedback. So I'll be setting up meetings, some work groups where we can look at the reports, make sure we all understand what the data is saying. Some of it's painful to hear because some of it shows how difficult things can be. But there are also opportunities there, and I think the opportunities that you guys want to get behind, those are the things we need to know about, so that we can kind of plow down a path towards something that's interesting or exciting to you guys, so that we can get something done there. We've also done research, as you guys know, and we've been working for a long time on what a casino facility might look like out here. We have completed all of that work. I think my goal on that was we don't have to build one out here. I think what I always hated is that it seemed like people just said it wasn't possible. And I think the project that we went through and the research that we've done so far is to show what is possible regarding casino, and then kind of let the community get behind that, or decide on, do you like it? Do you not like it? And we're at a point where we really just need feedback from you guys on, first of all, I want to show you what it says and what's possible. And then after that, if it's interesting to you or not, then we can decide what we do with it. Otherwise, we can put it to bed and kind of move on. But that work is completed, and we can certainly talk about that. And then Big Sandy, that's the biggest investment we've made at Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures here in the community. There's a lot that can be done up there, and there'll be some development that we'll push this year. So we have 4 cabins up there that are essentially shells right now that we want to complete this year, so that we can put those into the stock and have more more opportunity to rent the space that we have. The cabins that we have, we're renting those out a lot, and we're getting great prices for them. And then there's also 2 lots that are still undeveloped there that are near the lake. Kind of, if you drove in and looked to the left of the lodge, those 2 lots, we have 2 big lots there that we think we can either build a huge family reunion style cabin there, or else build 2 more cabins that are similar to the ones that are up on those hills. But our goal there, what we need to do there, is we need to own more of the units that are rentable up there. So most of the people, especially this year in the pandemic, a lot of people didn't want to rent their units up there. They wanted to be in their units so that they weren't in the cities or wherever they live. Um, so our goal is to try to increase the number of units that we have up there. So we'll see some work. And the cool thing about that, in the short term, there'll be some benefits for band members in construction projects. So when we're completing those cabins, and then when we're completing those other 2 lots, and then we do want to get on a path towards long-term band member management of the facility. I think when we came in and bought it, our goal was to see family members and community members running that place, and so we still need to get on a path to get there, and that's going to require your guys' help as well. Helping us identify who are those talented folks that want to be up there, running the show and doing good work. It's not an easy business. It's just like it's a beautiful property on a beautiful part of the lake. It's hard work. Just like any resort in Minnesota is hard work. So we need your guys' help to kind of point us in the right direction. Who wants to take that on in the community, and how do we get on a path towards that? Because I'm really interested in that. That is one of the biggest goals that we have. So we have these huge financial goals and targets and responsibilities as a company, but the metric that's higher than our financial performance is band member jobs. So and right now across the company, we're hiring more band members than we ever have. We set a record a year ago with the most band members we've ever had in MLCV, and we're trying to exceed that even higher. And we have jobs across the company in all 5 of our lanes for band members. Right now, there's a bunch of great opportunities at Grand Casino, so we're hiring director level jobs at both casinos that are. If you want to take a shot, these are the jobs to take a shot. There's big expectations of you, but we're also hiring these roles with the idea that even if you're not as confident in your skill set to be and take on that director role, they're designed to be developmental. So they're designed to kind of, if you don't think you have it, but you think you can get there, these are the jobs you want to take. So if you or somebody that wants to jump in and kind of help out the gaming, be part of the future of where Grand Casinos is going, I want to encourage you guys to help us out there on that and take that shot with us. So that's it. That's a lot. Oh, questions. Yeah, I'll do questions.
What is the status of the land on 65 across from Zorbas? Because that is a part of Sandy Lake, the 1855 original boundaries. That is within our original boundaries.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what is the status of that land?
Good question. So the question is so we own through the flowage north of Zorbas. So if you go to Zorbas, over the bridge, take a left, the entire land there that's on that flowage, and I forget the acreage off the top of my head there, but we own it. It's there. It's ready for us to do something with. It's not gaming ready, because it's the trick with gaming is it has to be, there's a few ways to do it. The easy way to do it is to have a pre-88 parcel. So if you have a parcel of land that was in trust pre-1988, that land, you can put a casino on that tomorrow, and that thing's pretty much up and operating. If any outside of that, you have to go through a process through the Department of Interior to put something into trust for gaming. Those take a long time. I just talked with a tribe last week from California. It took them 12 years to get theirs. But other than gaming, we can do anything on that land, and that is one of the parcels that we studied, and that is definitely a piece of property that has a lot going for it. Right? It's on the flowage. It's wooded.
My thoughts on that is that, as a Sandy Lake effort here, and our recent resolution at the MCT, you know, of our restoration recognition. And if you guys are going to further obtain land in our original boundaries,
gotcha.
that's something that we have, you know, we have interest in.
Sure. Makes sense. All right.
All right.
Get in the hook.
So they're here for questions and for any of those issues. And I brought the commissioners here so you have the opportunity to ask questions. But before you do that, I want to let Shelley Diaz come up and talk about census. And we've been talking about this on a regular basis, but we want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to fill out their census forms. And Shelley, if you will talk about it and explain what's going on with that.
Melanie. Hi, through Shelley Diaz, Urban Liaison in the Chief's Office, and also appointed the liaison for the U.S. Census for 2020 Census. How many here have completed your 2020 Census? Let me see some hands. Oh! Well, according to this crowd, that 38% that they have listed on the public website for the U.S. Census doesn't apply. They said we only have 38% of our band members that are completed. So I'm glad to see that everybody's done that. I'm going to be back here Tuesday. We're going to be going to all the districts next Tuesday, having pop-up census mobile tables. And this nice fancy shirt I got, this is what you'll get for completing your census. So I have some shirts with me today. I can give some out. I got masks, really nice masks, white ones with they're white with black trim, and they have the Mille logo, and then also the Indian country counts. So awesome! I'm glad to see everybody has done that. The message hasn't dwindled down, so make sure you all please speak with 3 other people about the census, and that way we'll grow our network of getting that message out. I stopped at our store up here on the way down, and I asked the guy, "Hey, did you do your census?" He's like, "Oh, I'm not political." I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's a wrong civic duty you got to do there." I said, "We need to be counted, you know." And so he assured me he's gonna go ahead and do a census. And I said, "Come see me Tuesday. I'll be back with shirts." So, yeah, good to hear. Annie, thank you. You good?
And the concern about this, not Indian country not filling out the census, it has financial implications to like the state of Minnesota or anywhere across the United States in Indian country. And I've been listening to public radio, so they have a lot of educational conversations on there. And so the Latino, the American Indian, indigenous communities, the Black communities in some of the poverty areas, these individuals are being left out of the count. And so if you fill out your census, that means that you are counted for the next 10 years. And if you don't fill out the census, that means no one knows that you exist until the next census, which is 10 years. And so Indian country, through the National Congress of American Indians, Minnesota, the Midwest Alliance of Sovereign Tribes, we're all trying to promote and making sure that we all have the opportunity to fill out the census. And not only does it impact the tribes, it impacts housing in the state of Minnesota, veterans, transportation, all of those types of issues. And if you listen to the radio, the census opportunity to complete your forms was to be done in October. But the president now is cutting that off in September 30th. And there's always something behind that. So hopefully we can get all of that taken care of. So my question to you, how do you want to do this? Do you want to just like stand up and ask questions, or would you like the commissioners to sit at a table where you could go and talk to them individually? And I know in some communities, folks don't like to speak, in public, and they prefer a one-on-one. So everybody is here, the commissioners, so you have the opportunity to talk with them individually. And So what's your preference? Okay, we got one for just asking the questions. Is that, or, and you still have the opportunity to have one-on-one with a commissioner regardless. So if that is there, just as a notice, we're today we want to focus on what is the programmatic kind of responsibilities of the commissioners, and we do understand Sandy Lake has a movement going on. This today is not the forum for that, but we just want to acknowledge that, and thank you for coming and bringing that up as well. But this meeting today is a meeting that the elders asked that we would bring all the commissioners here today to talk about their needs in the community. And so we know that's still ongoing and still moving and things of that sort. So I want to acknowledge that as well. So do you have any questions? I have all the commissioners here, and I got commitment from them that they will be rotating in the districts to come up, so you have the opportunity, and we'll let you know in advance which commissioner will be in the area so you can come and talk. And if say the commissioner DNR comes up but you have a housing question, you can still provide that, and they will share that information and making sure that that information goes to the appropriate commissioner. And so who has a question they would like to have? Okay, Tom does.
This is to Joe. Joe Naquinabe. I'm talking to you. No. See? Well, say, Joe, is there ever been talk about a satellite bank for Woodland Bank here? Because we have to go clear to Sturgeon Lake or to Cloquet or to one of the casinos, and they're like all 50 to 55 miles away. So for us here, that's how far we have to travel for us to do any kind of business. The ones that do banking with them.
You want me to answer that too? Because I know, well, you come up, you can, it looks like you want to answer. But the Woodlands National Bank is, it is organized under what is considered a holding company. Are you one of the members? Oh, you're the person to talk about.
So good question. The bank is a little bit different. It's not part of Mille Lacs Corporate Ventures, so it is its own. It is its own entity.
Federally mandated.
Yeah, there's a federal charter for Woodlands National Bank. We have a board member here too. Hey, we can. No, I'm just kidding. No, but I think it's a good idea. I think the economics on it are probably iffy. I guess that's what we'd have to look into. But I'll bring it to the attention of the bank and see what we can do up here, because
I know that we don't utilize that laundromat there
Yep.
as much as it should. And I don't see why they couldn't add that into the store.
Okay, no, that's a good idea. Yeah, using the laundromat space, kind of reformat it to bank. So yeah, I'll take that forward. It's a good idea.
Thank you.
Melanie had to step away for a moment. Does anybody have any other questions that they'd like to ask at this time? Any other ideas or questions, concerns, thoughts?
It's not really a question, I guess, but
Melissa, when is the community center, when do you anticipate opening that back up?
So the way that the community centers in each district currently operate, including the urban office, is that any programs or services that are necessary or needed, the phone calls, the phone numbers and the email addresses have been listed for individuals to contact them. So if it's a case manager, or if it's a program DNR, we have the HHS. We have those staff still present doing the work that needs to be done. And so we usually have folks contact those individuals, and so so we have one, when you need something, you can go in and work with with that individual department or program. And so we're trying to limit gathering as much as possible. And so access, what kind of access, I guess, are we looking for?
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is if somebody wants to go in and fill out an application for housing, for instance, there's nobody there and the doors are locked. How do they do that besides going to District 1?
Well, essentially they would contact housing, and a lot of the programs have been working with individuals to do their paperwork over the phone. So case managers and administrative assistants, and those were the initial protocols because we saw all of the preliminary reports on how the pandemic was behaving in other parts of the world, and so it was in the first 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks of this, it was much more. There was a lot more fear about close contact, and so right now the program administrators are all back in each district in each area and can be available for people. Yeah,
Because the doors are still locked.
right. I just gotta say we're still trying to limit access and gathering, and so we're asking people to contact the office ahead of time before they come in. And as the program administrators return, I feel like they returned after this last holiday, and so they'll have temp screenings at the door. Masks are required. There shouldn't be any. So what I'm saying is essentially access is still there. But we're still going to limit gathering and meetings inside of the buildings to the best of our ability, with the exception of like ceremonies if necessary.
Well, that was kind of a concern last week when the funeral was there and everybody had used the porta potties. That was a little bit weird to me, but I was just curious about how families got access to being able to get applications and things of that nature.
Yeah. So we've been pumping out information, both dropping it off door to door, and then also on the band website and Facebook sites for each program to have people contact case managers for applications.
Okay. Well, I guess I missed that, so all right.
Most of the applications that anyone's looking for are on the band's website. You can download it and filled out on your phone or on a computer. Yeah.
If you know how to do that.
There should be a list of emails to get them to.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a good app.
I can't put an app on my phone, it's too old. and my memory's all gone from Candy Crush.
One of the things that I skipped over in my nervousness was that the website development. We're trying to make sure that all forms of all parts of government are hung on the website so that you can fill it out and it will shoot directly to the person. I feel like when you look at not tribal governments per se, but like businesses across the nation, that's like a normal thing, to have an app and to be able to fill out and adjust forms. And so we have those contracts being processed right now so that the website will have a secure login. Everybody will have a login and a password, etc. And then the cool thing about having a new website and then all the electronic forms hung is that we'll have a database that's designed to protect privacy, but then also something that the band can pull data about what age demographics are using what services at what time of year, and it helps us make strategic decisions about and focused decisions on how to help people overcome barriers and go through situations instead of having them constantly in need of a certain kind of service, right? And so hopefully, the goal is to be able to use that data to help in how we do business.
Well, miigwech for coming out, and as we move forward into the fall and winter, social distancing will really come into play. And Carmen, do you have and then for Band members, if you want to put your name and your address with Carmen, we would appreciate it.
Also, can we collect emails too for the?
Oh yeah, and also, would you put your name, your address, phone number if you'd like, and your email, please? All right. So, Miigwech for coming out. Appreciate it. I'm glad it turned out. I was worried it was going to be a little chilly for folks, but it turned out nice. And thank you. And then, of course, the commissioners are still here if you have any questions to talk with them. Miigwech.